Hello, everyone. Dr. Yonit Arthur here. You are on the Steady Coach. And it is an incredible joy to share with you this success story from my very own client, Andrea. Andrea's story truly is special because Andrea had the dreaded MdDS diagnosis. And Andrea also went through every experimental treatment that you can think of, including the Mount Sinai protocol and TMS treatment to no avail. Not only that, Andrea also went through pregnancy and birth and the postpartum period while we were working together. And she is now here, symptom free, to share how she got there. If you enjoy this interview, which I know you will, please like, share, subscribe to my channel, or follow my podcast. It helps me reach more people. Please enjoy this interview. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Dr. Yonit. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. I am so
Nice.
excited to do this. We have so much important stuff to talk about today.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, could we start by warming up and you just telling us a little bit about yourself, like not in the symptom area, but just about you?
Well, okay. My name is Andrea Müller.
Mhm,
I'm 38 years old. I live in Guatemala City.
mhm.
I I'm a recent mother, as you can hear.
It's one of the things we're going to be talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I work in retail.
Mhm,
Um, and yeah, I for hobby I like to ride horses. I like horses a lot. I like to travel, and yeah,
mhm.
I have a very busy life right now with my daughter. She's 4 months old right now,
Mhm.
so everything's there with her.
Yeah. Everything is very crazy right now,
Yeah.
which is part of what makes your story so remarkable and why I'm so glad and so excited that you agreed to be interviewed publicly. Because one question I receive frequently from people who are thinking, oh, I think it's time to have children. What's a pregnancy going to be like? What's birth going to
Hmm.
be like? How am I going to manage all this? And I think your story is going to help people feel a little less fearful of those things.
Yeah.
So, could we maybe just start at the beginning and have you start by telling us when the symptoms first started? This was
Okay.
a while back.
Okay. So way back at 2013,
Mhm,
I took a trip to Florida
mhm,
with now my husband. He was my boyfriend that time. That
mhm,
that was the time that we got engaged. So we got on a cruise ship to Bahamas.
mhm.
It was a 3-day cruise ship, and when I came back, I was like, okay, something's normal. When you go down from the ship, you just feel like you're rocking, and
Mhm,
okay, I thought, oh, it's part of that. It's gonna go away. But time started passing, and 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and I was younger then. It's 10 years ago, so
mhm.
um, I started asking the doctor that what was wrong. It didn't went away, So, um, well, the doctor started giving me some medication, and he told me, okay, that's gonna pass in a few days, and actually it did.
Mhm.
Um, so time passed, and we hit the pandemic 2020, 3 years ago, and we took a trip with my family to the beach. And as we were in lockdown, we decided to stay there for a month. And I spent my whole evenings in a hammock.
Mhm.
So one day I just woke up again, like, oh my God, this is back, the thing that I
Back then.
experienced, yeah, back
Mhm.
then. And well, that's when everything started, like, to be like a little bit, not permanent, but the long term
Mhm.
symptoms stuff. So
Yeah.
So it was all in the 2020 when I started to experience the MdDS
Hmm.
symptoms.
More chronically.
Yeah.
For context, would you mind telling people what was going on in your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you know, you start like thinking, oh, what's wrong with me? I have to go to the doctor because the symptoms aren't going away, and
Hmm.
I was relating everything with the movement, you know, with the cruise ship first back then, and now with the hammock,
Hmm.
and well, after meeting you, I started to realize that maybe that didn't had anything to do with my symptoms, because in 2013 I was going through a big process of with my work and all my new company, and I was with a big stress a very stressing moment. So but it was the casual thing that I went to the cruise ship, so I related the symptoms with the cruise ship, not with the stress.
Hmm.
And then obviously in 2020 when the pandemic hit it, yeah, well, my business is the core business. It's all around the shopping malls and retail, and you know, so everything was closed, and so you know, you can imagine the stress with that. So
I
I,
remember
I
you telling me that story of suddenly needing to launch the online shopping, right?
yeah,
And everything just going wrong.
yeah, everything went wrong. Well, I thank God I was prepared for that. But you know, the demand was so high because everyone, well, you know, we're in the sports business, the sportsman business, and everyone wanted to buy tracksuits and things like that, and so it was a whole. My business was a mess, so I got really, really stressed,
Mhm.
and well, that I believe that well, after meeting you and talking to you, I started to notice that my dizziness was coming from that and not from the movement. And
Mm,
okay,
yeah. Thank you. I think that will help people understand because I remember when I first met you, and we'll talk about the doctor's visits next because I know people are going to want to know all the tests you did, all the medicines and all
okay,
that. But I remember when I asked you what was going on in your life, we had this whole discussion about it. And I was
hmm,
like, when you told me the details, I mean, we spent a good amount of time
yeah,
talking about it. I was like the stress of that situation sounds just unbearable, just
yeah,
unbearable, like just crazy. To me, I think I said to you at the time, like, no wonder your nervous system was like, okay, we're done here. That we're just done here. Yeah.
yeah, because it's a lot of responsibility. You know, it's not only me; it's a lot of people working, and yeah, yeah, it was a mess. It
Yeah.
really hit me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So it came back. At the time, you didn't know anything about it being related to stress. You were just like, what is wrong with me?
Hmm.
So, what did you do next?
Oh, well, well, I started to go to the doctors,
Hmm.
the otorrhino, and
Hmm.
I did all types of tests that you can imagine, ear tests, MRIs, a blood test, sugar, everything that you can imagine, I did.
Hmm.
Um, After that everything came back normal, and normal.
Hmm.
No, it's normal. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. And I was, it can't be. I have something wrong because I was still dizzy and rocking and bobbing, and my symptoms were so high. And actually, I contacted this. He's a PhD from the Mount Sinai in New York.
Hmm.
I was
Hmm.
part of that study. I went to New York on June 2021, I
Hmm.
believe. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
I was part of that study. actually, if you want to go to that study, you have to be your all your hearing system, all your, it has to be
Totally
perfect.
normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally number. And
Mhm.
mine was, so I was eligible and I went, and well, surprise, I came back and I was feeling exactly the same.
Yeah.
So, but that was when I started, I just kept looking and kept looking, and that's when I found you.
Yeah. Well, you make it sound, in this conversation like it's so short, but I'm thinking, I mean, we started working with each other probably about a
One
year
year ago.
ago, almost
Yeah.
exactly a year ago.
Hmm.
And that's a long time to be suffering from this. A long time. And especially, I know we didn't get into this yet, but maybe you can tell people, what was your daily life like? Like, what were symptoms like during that time?
Oh yeah, so I used to be very active.
Mhm.
And yeah, that you see that you feel like you're not the same person again.
Mhm.
You're not going to be the same person again, never.
Mhm.
So you just want to lay in the couch, and do nothing, and everybody says like, "Oh, but you look normal and you look fine," but you're just dealing with a huge, I don't know, it feels like very, how do you say that, you feel like incapable of of moving,
Mhm.
it just throws you and smacks you to the floor. And yeah, you just don't want to go to places because you feel bad, you don't want to see people, you don't want to, stress it starts to gaining its power, because you don't want to go out from your house. It's very debilitating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And were you experiencing symptoms all the time, 24 hours a day at that
Yeah.
time?
Yeah. 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 My symptoms went a little down when I was sleeping, right? But
Mhm.
driving my car, it make the symptoms go lower, or
Mhm.
riding horses. I ride
Mhm.
horses, so that,
Mhm.
yeah, when I'm in movement.
When your
But
movement, it was better, but when you were
yeah,
still.
yeah, all the time, yeah.
And so, would you mind telling me what the symptoms were? So they were rocking, swaying, what
Swaying,
else?
bobbing, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
things that triggered them, when the lights were off, like showering,
Mhm.
yeah, going to the supermarket, the aisles, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. Well, that's another thing that we didn't mention yet. You also had visual symptoms too, right? When
yeah.
you'd be at supermarkets, the bright lights, patterns. I think you told me one time the carpet store, you were at a carpet store. Maybe
Hmm.
I'm making that up, but like the patterns on the carpets would mess you up.
Yeah, and you just go out to your and in your car, and you're driving, and like, okay, I'm not seeing the way I used to, with that clarity. So it
Mhm.
affected that also. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So, and before you met me too, I remember you were given some medicines, right?
Yeah.
It was some kind of benzodiazepine. Was it? Can you remind
Yeah.
me which one it was?
Benzodiazepina,
Mhm.
it's called, in Spanish, it's called ribotril.
Mhm.
Yeah, and sertraline.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
So you were given those things, and did those help?
It did because it helped with to calm your stress. So yeah,
Mhm.
they
But you
did,
were
but they didn't
still,
took it. They
they didn't
didn't.
take it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So fast forward now. So you found me, and when you heard me talking about it, what did you think? Did you think that makes no sense, or were you like, "Oh, well, I've tried everything else." So what was that
Oh
like?
no, that I need to try it. So I remember you told me to write, about myself, and so that afternoon, after talking to you the first time, I started writing, and I couldn't stop. You remember I told you that I couldn't stop, and I was writing in English. My main language is Spanish, so I was writing in
You were
English and I couldn't
journaling.
stop. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that made me feel so good, because I was like dropping everything out, and yeah, eventually, um, life, day by day, it turns to be difficult in some ways also. So I was dealing with a lot, and doing that helped me, and it made me like release. And from the first time that I talked to you, I started feeling better.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember, so we met, I explained, we talked about
Hmm.
your history, and I said, "Yep, it makes sense
Hmm.
that this is happening. It's a nervous system error." And then the
Yeah,
next week you're like, "I feel 50% better." And I was like,
yeah.
"What?" So, and I remember telling you there may be ups and downs, but that's
Hmm.
I remember telling you, if one meeting makes your symptoms go down like that, and this doesn't happen
Hmm.
to everyone, but if one
Yeah.
meeting makes your symptoms go down like that, it has to be a nervous system
Hmm.
error, because
Yeah.
I didn't do any exercises or give you any medications. All I did was tell you were going to be okay. That's pretty much what I was saying. Uh,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that sometimes, well, a person like me needs to hear that, and it helps a lot. So I appreciate that from your part. Yeah,
Well,
and that actually I could identify that the stress was the one that was triggering me, because after everything I did with tests, all the medical stuff, yeah, it was a must for me to trust, the process that we're dealing with.
yeah,
So
but it made it easier for you to believe me when I told you this and I said, "I want you to start writing down your feelings and letting some of the stress out," and you saw it helped right away.
yeah,
And
it did.
I'm so glad that it did. And of course, for people listening, it doesn't work that way for every person, but for many people, it does, especially people like you, I think, who
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
very self aware. You're very self aware. And for you, you were able to immediately start writing down. You knew the things that were bothering you. You already
Yeah,
knew what they were.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I understood that the dizziness wasn't coming from, movement. It was coming from stress, because I was relating it with it was pure casuality, that
Hmm.
the cruise ship and then the hammock, but it wasn't that.
It wasn't that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Amazing. So then we got a fun twist in our story. So we started working together. You started feeling better right away, and we
Yeah,
were working together. And then what happened?
I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
uh,
gosh. Yes.
So that flipped everything, because in my plans, I always wanted to have children, but I wasn't able. I don't know why. I was totally normal in my tests also, but same thing, stress, I believe. But yeah, the day came, and I thought that I wasn't going to have any children anymore. But well, here's Michele now,
Yeah.
4 months old.
Yes. It was such a
And
surprise for
yeah,
both of us.
yeah, yeah. So, well, that's when everything started again.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, actually, I started feeling pretty good when I was pregnant.
Yes.
And
Yeah, so let's break this down for people because
mhm,
people are listening very closely now to
okay.
this. So you were feeling better and better and better. We were at the point already where we were saying, "You're not going to need me much longer. We'll
Hmm.
probably just check in every few months for a while and you'll be fine." But you got pregnant before you were fully recovered. You were still recovering. Things were much
Yeah,
better, but you were not fully better yet. And then you got pregnant, and then you
yeah,
had the first trimester.
yeah.
So during the first trimester, do you want to share your experience there?
Oh, yeah. Uh, well,
Yeah.
COVID hit me also
Yes, you
when
got
I was
COVID
pregnant.
too. Yep.
I was taking care of myself so much, during the pandemic, and then when I got pregnant,
Everything opened up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was one of the, yeah, I was feeling pretty bad. Nothing, thank God, nothing that, that dangerous for me as to go to a hospital. But yeah, I was feeling pretty bad because you cannot take any medicines, for
Mhm.
when you're pregnant,
Mhm.
like everybody else. But yeah, the first trimester was pretty crazy because it was, as I wanted a lot to have children, but it was a surprise for me also. So, your body starts to change, and yeah, it was a,
It was a
it was
lot.
it was a lot. Yes.
It's a lot for anyone, but
Hmm.
you were in a kind of a vulnerable place still. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's not like, "Oh, I'm fully recovered and I feel great." We were still dealing with some of that
Yeah.
stress. We were still working on those things. And again, I
Hmm.
remember how well you were doing. You were doing so well, but
Yeah.
then you had all this stress pile on and it was like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
so much at the same time."
So symptoms came back.
Mhm. I
You
remember
know.
they were like part of your morning sickness. The nausea
Yeah.
and the symptoms were there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that it was because the body was adjusting to a new, for hormones, and
Mhm.
it was put in a stress mode again.
Mhm. It made sense to
So
you.
yeah.
And do you remember when you told me about this? I think we talked to each other and then you were feeling okay, and then at
Hmm.
around 6 weeks, you started feeling bad, and I
Yeah,
remember telling you, "This is
it's gonna
normal.
pass. Yeah.
It's gonna pass," and you felt better right away also.
Yeah.
Not 100%, but you got so much relief out of
Yeah.
me telling you it
Yeah.
really is gonna pass. This is normal, a normal
Yeah.
response to those hormones going up.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe that I'm a person that I need to hear that, to that reaffirmation that everything's going to be okay, and that
Mhm.
helps a lot,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, that's why we're doing this,
Yeah.
because other people are gonna listen and they're gonna say, if I'm still in the middle of recovery, because I hear from women sometimes who are in their 30s, their late 30s, they're dealing with
Hmm.
dizziness. They don't wanna wait till they are fully recovered. They know it may take time, and they
Hmm.
wanna get started having a family now, and they're
Yeah.
afraid it's gonna hold me back, it's gonna stop my recovery, and
Hmm.
them hearing us break it down like this, I think, is gonna bring them the reassurance that I was able to give you at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But after the first trimester, you started feeling
Oh,
really good.
yeah. Almost, you know, none. My symptoms were from 0 to 1,
Mhm. Mhm.
more zero, like remission
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was nice. It was
Mhm.
nice. It
Mhm.
was nice not living on the boat again,
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, the second trimester and the third trimester were good. I think
Mhm.
that everything, the hormones and the body got used to be pregnant, and baby
Mhm.
was growing, me eating well, everything that
Mhm.
was,
Mhm.
yeah. So I really cannot say that I had a bad time being pregnant the second and the third trimester,
Right.
you
Uh,
know.
right, and that's the takeaway for people to understand.
Hmm.
If you're going through a period of extreme stress and you're in the middle of dealing with recovering from chronic dizziness, extreme stress, like the first trimester, is potentially
Hmm.
gonna temporarily make symptoms worse, but that
Hmm.
didn't even last the whole pregnancy for you. Although it was
Hmm.
awful for that first bit, the
Yeah.
most of your pregnancy, you felt pretty much great. I remember talking and
Yeah.
we were just kind of at that point, we were talking about how to prepare for the baby actually being here.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I really, yeah, it was the first trimester and the last trimester, yeah,
The very
when
end.
the,
Yeah.
yeah, when the date was
Mhm.
coming,
Mhm.
I believe that if my dizziness came from stress and everything. You remember I told you, I called you and I told you, okay, I need to program this because I'm not going to be able, and like going through what would make me feel more secure and better. So yeah, that,
Yes.
every I'm a first mom, so it was very scary for me.
Right.
Yeah.
But we talked about how, in a way, I mean, that that was self-care for you
Hmm.
to think
Hmm.
about, look,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna the uncertainty of the date, the timing surrounding the date and what might
Yeah.
happen, my
Yeah.
doctor not being there or
Yeah.
being there, that was that was just a lot, considering,
Yeah.
again, everything else that you were dealing with at the time too. So for
Yeah.
you, it was the right choice to
Yeah.
you scheduled a C-section.
Yeah. I did.
Mhm. Yeah.
I did, and well, everything went fine.
Mhm. Yeah.
um, but obviously, after giving birth, you have a baby home, taking a baby home, and it's like very new. It was something very new for me. I
Mhm.
didn't knew how to handle it, and
Mhm.
obviously, well, my stress levels went poof
Through the roof.
again.
Yeah. And the
Yeah,
hormones.
and the hormones, and
Mhm.
so dizziness came back again.
Mhm.
And well, the thing that most made me sad was that I'm responsible for this baby now, and I didn't want to carry her in my arms without being near the crib because I was afraid of dropping her or something like that. So all of
Mm.
those, those things that went through my mind. Yeah, I had to battle with that, but as you say, hormones were,
Very
yeah,
much.
yeah. So
Yes. And if I remember correctly, although it felt like forever, because I mean, that period of time, it's just
it did,
chaos.
it
I
did,
remember it too. But 4 or 5 weeks afterwards, things
it,
settled back
yeah.
down, and then you felt good again.
Yeah, because I started realizing that nothing was going wrong,
Mm.
It's just a matter of learning how to take care of the baby and the daily routine, it just makes you feel more calm, and I
Mhm.
believe that helped.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So what do you think, how did you give yourself that message? Was it hearing it from the outside? Was it how you were talking to yourself? Like, what did you do to help yourself feel safe and not scared anymore?
Well, after all the talks with you, I think that talking to yourself, to your symptoms, like, okay, you're there, but you're not going to rule my life. You're not going to, okay, I feel you, but
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that helped. That helped
Mhm,
me a lot.
mhm,
And just knowing the fact that everything was going to be okay, you know, that, that keeping in my mind that nothing is going wrong, that it's just part of life, that you have to get used to a new form of living with a baby. But yeah, after time started passing, I started to feel better and better and better and better and better and
mhm.
better. It's so it's not going back. It's only getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and I want people to really notice, this is with a 4-month-old baby. You have a
Hmm.
4-month-old baby right now, who's
Yeah.
gorgeous, by the way. She's gorgeous. But
Thank you.
also, here you are, and this is the way that we thought about this when it happened was, yeah, your body's saying you're stressed out. Just like some women, when they're postpartum, they feel down or they feel
Hmm.
anxious or they get headaches or they get
Hmm.
backaches. You
Yeah.
had your dizziness symptoms, your
Hmm.
swaying, and some of those symptoms come back. But it was, we knew, and I told you from day one, this is just the stress response. It's temporary, and it's not a sign of anything wrong. And I what you were just saying to me sounds like you were speaking to yourself the same way, and you were
Hmm.
being compassionate to yourself. So you were
Yeah.
saying, first of all, everything's okay, but also it's okay that this is stressing me out and it's going to be
Hmm.
fine. I'm going to figure
Yeah.
this out. You had
Yeah.
confidence in
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And not just in that part, if I look back at myself 2, 3 years ago, I couldn't go in my car and drive, I was scared of driving. I was
Hmm.
scared of doing a lot of things.
Hmm.
And now, yeah, I just, that confidence, that knowing what was wrong with me, because it's not wrong anymore.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. And
yeah.
that's why this is the best. This is the
Yeah.
best conversation ever
So,
because it's not happening anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now I just think about that, and I'm like, oh my God, it's been a trip, I have learned a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm happy about it, because
Yeah.
now I know if it comes back anytime again, I know how to deal with it.
Yeah. It's
Hmm.
I I'm with you. It's a normal thing
Hmm.
to have odd sensations sometimes.
Yeah.
It's the way that it's talked about and framed, I think, by the medical community that people think, "Oh, this is remission," and "Oh, it's chronic." And that's
Hmm.
just it's normal to for your brain to produce symptoms when you're stressed out, no matter what symptoms you have or haven't had. It's the
Yeah.
way that it's being talked about, I think, that causes so many problems for people in many cases.
Yeah. And for me, the dizziness, the stress, it comes in dizziness. But to other people, it comes like, okay, in the stomach, in the headache,
Mhm.
as you said. So
Mhm.
that's just me and like many other people. So,
You
but
normalized it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so when that happens now, you don't say, "Oh, this is the MdDS and there's something wrong with me." It's, "Yeah, I'm stressed out. What can I do to help myself with the
Yeah,
stress?"
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I'm sure people will be in, so impressed hearing this interview and they'll know from hearing you, but you also happen to be a particularly resourceful and resilient person. You've had a lot of hardships in your life and you've
Hmm.
learned how to handle them with grace and confidence. And I think that those skills, as soon as I told you what to do, you already had the skills to do those
Hmm.
things.
Yeah,
So it's but you're living proof that it does work. When you can use those skills, it does work.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So how
yeah.
are you feeling now?
Oh, I feel pretty normal, as I
Mhm.
used to be.
Mhm.
I'm obviously after giving birth, it's a process that your body changes, and if you were a very active person, going back, I was like, oh, I'm going to be back in the horse in 1 month.
Yeah.
It didn't happen but it made me spend time with my daughter and
Mhm.
to appreciate every moment. And right now I'm back on the saddle, and yeah, I'm going to the gym and doing all the stuff, starting to doing all the stuff that I used to do,
Mhm.
but
And
now
symptoms?
with a baby.
Oh, yes, with
Perfect,
the
because
baby.
I might say that my symptoms are, I I can't feel them. So I would say maybe from 0 to 10, 0 or 1, but not more.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Amazing. And most of the
Yeah.
time you don't have them at all.
No, I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so now people listening to this are going to want to they're going to go back and they're going to listen to this whole interview and they're going to try to understand what you did. So,
Hmm.
what advice do you have to people who are dealing with MDDS or other dizziness symptoms?
Well, I believe that you have to trust yourself, and we actually know what's happening to us, but sometimes we just leave it inside. We have to talk about it. We have to know what's bothering us, and we have to know what is making us feel stressed in the moment, and everything has a solution, you know. Everything passes, everything can be dealt. So I would say that this can be healed, you know. This can be healed with the right guidance, and trusting yourself, and well, yeah, what can I say? Here
Yeah.
I am, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
having gone through not just years of MdDS,
Yeah,
also a
3 years
pregnancy and a
pregnancy.
birth,
Yeah,
a
pandemic,
surprise, a
pregnancy,
pandemic.
COVID, everything, you know,
You had
everything
COVID
together.
twice during your pregnancy, didn't you? Twice.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
did
even
twice.
with all that.
But you know that the last time that I got the COVID, I was pretty normal, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just think that this every I just laugh at myself because I did so much with all the medical stuff, you know. I did, and I was like going crazy with that. No, I need to know what's happening, and I need to know. Okay, my MRI come back normal, then I have to go and do the sclerosis tests. No, it's normal. Oh, okay, then I need. And yeah, it didn't came from there. So I think you should the people that are listening should give it a try, you know, to listen to Dr. Yonit, because here I am,
Here you are.
symptoms free. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
a baby. Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, having fun, you know. So
I know. What again, although it was unexpected for us, uh, what a what a journey I got to go on with you.
yeah.
When, we didn't know when we first met we'd be going through all this as well as dizziness recovery at the same
Yeah.
time. How many doctors did you see, out of curiosity? Do you know how many you
Oh
saw?
my God. But you name it. Yeah. Everything, you know. I tried diets. I tried everything that has to do with the, you know, the eyes, ears, nose, the brain, blood, yeah,
Mhm.
everything. Every doctor. So I took a trip to New York, you know.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
yeah.
Did anyone ever ask you about stress? Did anyone ever ask you about what was going on in your life?
No, none, no,
None.
no, because I did also. I remember that I did you know, the what's the TMS, the
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, transcranial
I did
magnetic
that.
stimulation. You did TMS
Yeah,
also?
I
Wow.
did TMS. Yeah, I did it.
Yeah. Mhm.
I
And
did.
nothing.
You know, it has some for people who has depression and anxiety
Yes.
and all. It works. And
Mhm.
as I believe that I had a little bit of that also, because I wasn't feeling well, and that makes you have, you know, you can
Sure.
land in
Sure.
a depression or something like that. It did help. It helps, but it doesn't take away your symptoms
It
until you
doesn't.
understand what's happening to you and how to deal it directly, you know.
Yes. That reminds me, I forgot to add a detail. You went off all your medications
Yeah,
when you found out you were pregnant. Cold turkey.
yeah.
Cold. I mean, you were already, once we started talking to each other, you started tapering off of them, but
Hmm.
then you were still like less, 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 less. And then at the beginning of your pregnancy, you went off everything.
Hmm.
And that was another reason we thought maybe the symptoms came up a bit at the beginning, because you went boom off everything. And now
Yeah,
you're on nothing, right? Not
yeah.
on any of the medications.
Only my big complex and things like that, you
Yeah.
know, but
The way it should
nothing.
be. The way
Yeah,
it should be. Wow. This it feels so good for me to have this conversation with you now.
yeah. No, it's amazing. After
Yeah.
all that I've been through, you know, and all the doctors and all that, you know, it's been 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So they pass like in a blink. So time passes. So I think that this interview will help everybody to, you know, jump that process of the medical stuff and try
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
identify what. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for people with MdDS, because
Mm-hmm.
people with that particular diagnosis are given terrible messages about their
Mm-hmm.
ability to get better. Oh, if you don't get better in a year, you're not going to get better. And oh,
Mm-hmm.
there's no treatment, it's incurable. And it's just not correct. And
Mm-hmm.
so it'll be so gratifying for them to hear this interview, someone who has MdDS diagnosed and who
Mm-hmm.
fully recovered. Here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Amazing. Here we are. I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that you want people to know? Any other thoughts to share?
Well, if no, but that if there's something else that people want to know, they can contact me, and
Mhm.
I'll be glad to let them know how's it going, and
Mhm.
okay,
Okay.
yeah,
So, yeah, if anyone listening has questions or comments for Andrea, you can drop them below and I'll relay them to you.
okay,
But really, I can tell people in a more general way, the things that you and I talked about are exactly the things I talk about on my channel.
mm-hmm,
It's not like there was a secret mystery conversation I had with you that I'm not sharing publicly. It's the same information. It's just that we connected and you heard me and we listened to each other and you were able to
mm-hmm,
understand and accept that this was what was happening, and that cured you. That's
mm-hmm,
really what it was. So if
yeah,
someone is hearing this and is dealing with MdDS, the first step really is accepting that this is possible, that it's a nervous system
yeah,
error and that it
yeah,
can be reversed. It's just a matter of understanding that for many
yeah,
people.
yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
I think that also helps is that I remember that you gave me some it's not a podcast, but it's like the
Somatic
recordings of
tracking.
yeah.
Yeah, somatic tracking is great for MdDS because
Mm-hmm,
you have it when you're still, so you
mm-hmm,
can listen to it and it teaches your brain not to be afraid of the symptoms. And I'm not saying
mm-hmm,
you're afraid, but you hate them or it's really aggravating and it teaches your brain to not have that reaction to them anymore, and that helps your brain adjust them down.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll link to that in the description as well.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh no,
This was
thank you.
wonderful. Okay. Again, my
I'm the
heart is just full.
I'm the one that has to thank you.
Mm.
Yeah, you've been so helpful. So I think that everybody should contact the Dr. Yonit.
Oh my gosh. Don't tell them that. I can't help everyone, but I'm helping as many people as I can with the free information. So
Yeah, yeah.
but thank you. Again, thank you so much. And I when I heard the baby in the other room, I was like, oh, there she is. It's like it's all full circle now. It's like you're living your new life now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a 180
Yes, it has.
turn,
Yes, it has. Yeah. I wish we had recorded our first session
but it's
so we can see this
amazing.
one.
It's amazing. So all the girls that are trying to get pregnant and are afraid of it, it's the best thing that it's going to happen to your life. So go ahead. Everything is going to be fine.
Thank you for saying that. I know I have a few people in mind I'm going to send this interview to right away as soon as I finish editing it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's no bigger happiness than this.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it makes you want to be better and feel better, so that it's gonna bring pure joy to your life.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so
Oh,
much. Thank you.
thank you, Dr. Yonit.
Hmm. We're having a little love fest right now. All right. Well,
Okay.
anyone again who's listening, if questions or comments, just drop them below. And as always, you can share this video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe to my channel or follow my podcast because it helps me reach more people. And thank you, Andrea. I'll see you soon.
Now you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye bye.